evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium as we are getting ready to go with our 15th anniversary season. This evening, we'll be welcoming the Miami Norland Vikings, all the way down from South Florida, taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva High School. I am joined tonight, as I have been for the last 15 seasons, by Neil Fisher of the Apopka Chief, and we are ready to take you through tonight's program.
Yeah, thanks again, Mark. As always, an excellent introduction. And as we get set here, we do have a couple of pretty much the same storyline for both the coaching staff and the players. We have a new coach in town. That's Jeremiah Rodriguez Schwartz. Not only is this his first year that he is going to be the coach of the Wekiva Mustangs, but it's his first year as a head coach in general. Now, Coach Schwartz, I've worked with him since January when he was named. Certainly a man who's come in. He seems to have all the qualities that a coach needs. Great organization, great tangible. He has a vision, but he's also very good with the players. He knows when to get on their case and when to step back. He can be an enforcer, but he can also be kind of that parental father figure that these players need. So only two assistants are coming back from last year's squad. That's Max Purcell, who actually was not on last year's squad. He retired 2 seasons ago. And then, of course, when Coach Schwartz asked him to come out of retirement, Coach Purcell agreed. He is the offensive line coach and then your offensive coordinator. Buddy Hurd, he also returns. Of course, if you follow Wekiva Mustangs, you're very familiar with Coach Hurd. He's been around for almost 10 seasons now, and he's also well known in the Central Florida area as he's coached a number of teams. The other place that youth is, that's the obvious. And that, of course, is the team. 75. All these players, about 90% of them, actually do have some type of experience playing football. However,
yeah, when I rolled over the roster from year to year, I think I only carried about 12 returning varsity players.
Right,
Wekiva
and that's where I was going, is that only about 25% of them have actually played at the varsity level. And we only have 2 starters, Tamarian Foster, he's a and Jacoby Lowry, who's lining up at center. So the good news on that front, though, is Lowry and Foster, if you're going to only have 2 players, 1 player on each side of the ball, those are the 2 players you want. They're very experienced. They're 3-year starters. Of course, Foster has been a great leader. He's also known as Frosty. He has led the secondary in every conceivable stat that there is for the secondary. So this is a team that's young, and Coach Schwartz has said throughout his time, his short time, the 9 months that he's been here, the team has progressed solidly. They've made some good strides, but that's against themselves. You don't play football against yourself. You're playing against a team. So the question now is, as they head into this preseason classic, how quick of a pace are they going to continue to improve against the opponents?
So let's take a look at how we got to where we are. Let's take a look at the history of Wekiva football. You can see, Neil, you and I have been here for all of this. We've been here from the bad times and the good times, and we started with some pretty bad times, opening up with a winless 2007, and it took until 2014 before we had an above 500 record, and starting from there, we've been in the regional playoffs for 6 out of the last 7 seasons. And so there are high expectations for the Mustangs every season now.
Yeah, I just talked to Coach Hurd, and of course he said, you know, we still do feel like we have a shot at continuing that expectation of getting into the playoffs, but we do have some work going there. So, again, this is a team that has some talent. It's not like Coach Schwartz came here and he's starting from ground zero. It's a matter of getting the experience. And you hear about this in every single sports, doesn't matter what sport. The difference between the teams that go 5-5, as we just pointed out, we had that couple of years there where we were at 500, and teams that not only get to the playoffs but win in the playoffs, is understanding the subtleties. And that only comes with experience and some maturity in terms of playing time. So
exactly. So we're expecting a little bit of a expect the unexpected this year. We have a team, as you mentioned, Neil, that has a lot of raw talent, but not a lot of experience working together on the same program. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that it's probably safe to assume that the team that you're watching tonight is going to evolve a lot by the time we get to Week 10 and Week 11 and we get to the Tater Bowl with the Mayor's Cup that we always anticipate. That's going to be on the road this year. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the schedule for this year. We've got the preseason classic tonight, then at Olympia, and then at Ocoee for the next 2 weeks, a 2-week road trip. Next chance to catch the Mustangs at home. We'll be broadcasting the West Orange game on September 10th. Then they go on the road to Lake Nona. They'll host Ridge Community on October 1st, which is homecoming. And then on October 8th, the Mustangs will host Evans. The 15th, they travel to Edgewater. That's always a highly anticipated game. That was an explosive team, a perennial powerhouse. Then on October 22nd, we'll host the East Ridge Knights. That'll be senior night as our last regular season home game, so we'll carry live coverage of that. And then the Mustangs will end the regular season on the road this year, the 29th at Winter Haven, and then November 5th at Apopka.
Yeah, and if you take a look next to those names there, there's a D, that donates district, and the districts were reshuffled once again. So a very... So a somewhat different district. Of course, Edgewater remains, and even with Wekiva being young and inexperienced, they still should be the #1 contender to Edgewater. Then the other district members, of course, are Ridge Community, East Ridge, and Winter Haven. East Ridge has been in and out of the same district with Wekiva for a number of years now, so that's not new. But, of course, Winter Haven and Ridge Community are new. And to wrap up, as we will get into our pregame festivities here in a minute, a young, inexperienced team, but definitely raw, and the key word would be progress and how quick can they progress in terms of the pace against the opponents tonight to get that first opportunity against Miami Norland. If you're looking for someone to teach you, Miami Norland is that team. They are a perennial state powerhouse. They have a state championship and multiple trips to the state semifinals.
All right, let's go down to the field and welcome our fans. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium for the preseason classic as we get ready to open up our 15th anniversary season here at Wekiva High School. Please welcome our guests from Miami Norland, all the way from South Florida. They are the Vikings, and they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand and remove your hats as we honor America with a presentation of colors by the Wekiva High School Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. Tonight's detail is under the command of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Curtis Garrett, carrying the new U.S. flag. Carrying the Florida State flag is Cadet Major Emily Esposito. Carrying the Air Force flag is Cadet Captain Genesis Ramirez Traverso. And carrying the POW MIA flag is Cadet Second Lieutenant Anna Summerlin. The Rifle Guards are Cadet Captain Andres Ortiz and Cadet Technical Sergeant Dariel Gutierrez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem by the Pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band.
All right, Amina's camera 2 if you want her. I shouldn't be talking this loud. It's kind of cool. Camera 2's hot. Amina, you're first.
Thank you, thank you.
Once again, our thanks to the Mustang Marching Band making their debut performance tonight here at the Preseason Classic, and thanks also to the Wekiva High School Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps.
So if I'm not here, you got to tell her.
And now we'll invite our captains to take midfield along with our officiating crew for the coin toss.
Camera one, you ready?
Once again, we welcome you to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. For those of you just joining us, we are getting ready for the coin toss here. Miami Norland coming to us all the way from South Florida. That's quite a bus ride, and so I guess better them than us. We're glad to be here at home hosting and back to broadcasting live action. We are hoping that this season turns out to have a little bit more normalcy, perhaps, than the previous season.
Certainly, and everybody said this, but just reiterating it, but much different season last year. And as you said, Mark, we hope to get back to some normalcy. Of course, we mentioned Miami Norland. They won the 2002 state championship, and that was under Nigel Dunn. Daryl Heidelberg is now their head coach. He's been the coach for 12 years now. And of course, we also mentioned Kelvin Schwartz. This is his first season as the Wekiva head coach, first season as a head coach period. He did spend the 2014 and 15 seasons at Miami Norland as the offensive line coach. So certainly some ties and connection. His wife Nicole is a native of Miami. Miami Norland, as we get the coin toss, is located in Miami Gardens. That's about 2 miles north of the Hard Rock Stadium where the Miami Marlins play, and about 10 miles north of downtown Miami. About 3.5-hour trip, 235 miles to get up here for Miami Norland.
As our captains take midfield for the coin toss, we'll take this opportunity to thank our game officials from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. They are referee Tim Krim, umpire Jeff Granger, linesman Josh Himes, line judge Whitfield Bino, and back judge John Jacobs, along with electronic clock operator Bill Smith. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition.
So one other quick note, we'll talk more about this.
The Vikings have won the toss and have elected to receive.
So we'll talk more as this game progresses. But under Coach Schwartz, we are going to see a 4-2-5 defense. That's 4 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 secondary players. Of course, the 5th player in that is a nickelback. Normally, you use a nickelback in passing situations. He's called the nickelback because he is the 5th player. However, in this scheme, the nickelback is actually more of a cornerback. So that, we have never seen a 4-2-5 at Wekiva, Mark. And the reason we use that is the basic idea is that you want to climb the middle of the line. That's the impetus, the trigger. The idea is that the less gaps at the line, the less room, of course, there is to run. It creates confusion on the offense. It forces your offense to have to run the play, the design of the play to go outside the tackles, which generally speaking, most teams don't like to do that.
And for those of you here in the stadium, we want to remind you that tonight's game is being live streamed on both YouTube and the NFHS Network. If you have friends or family back in Miami, elsewhere in Apopka, or anywhere in the world, and they were unable to join us in person tonight for the Preseason Classic, just have them pull it up on their favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device. Again, on YouTube, the channel name is Wekiva Sports. Or you can also watch it on the NFHS Network, where we simulcast all of our home games as well. We also encourage you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We are at Wekiva Sports. On all of those services, you'll get live updates from many of our athletic events, and as well as news and information about our athletes and alumni. Again, at Wekiva Sports on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
And so continuing, Mark, with the defense, of course, the main idea of this 4-2-5 is you want to clog the middle. The less room that the offensive line has to run, the better it is. But it's also designed to utilize speed, which Wekiva does not have as much speed, especially on the corners as they had the last couple of seasons. But they still do have enough speed to play this. And it's also designed for teams that have great reaction. The reaction is at the snap instead of before. And another, not quite as major, but when you do have 5 players at that line, 4 players at the line, can, of course, that means there's less time for the secondary to have to cover the receiver. So, first and 10 for Miami. They will be taking over at the 20. And the first play, whoa, great start for Wekiva, exactly what you want if you're Wekiva. Minus 2 yards. Miami Norland running the spread offense, which is almost 90% of teams run this year, nowadays. And, of course, their big name is Javin Simpkins. And I think he got the ball yet again. No, he did not. That's actually Deion Parker, the quarterback, who slams up into the middle. And so 3rd and 10 for Miami Norland, a 2-yard gain.
Deion Parker with the carry, tackled by the Mustangs, number 50, George Reed. And that is a loss of 1 on the play. That'll bring up 3rd and 13 for the Vikings. Pass is caught. Did he control it before he came down? Looks like they are going to say no.
So 3 plays for the Wekiva defense. Again, a 4-2-5, the first time we've ever seen this. They do use a 3-4 too as well.
Pass intended for Caleb Jean falls incomplete. Looked like he had it, but it hit the ground before he brought it in for control, and that will bring up 4th and 14, and the Vikings left kick the ball away. So a 3-and-out opening possession. You couldn't ask for too much more from the Mustangs.
Yeah, and again, you see the benefit of that 4-2-5. Sincere Edwards, Travian Rudolph, Davian Watkins, and George Reed on that defensive line. And they certainly did their job, as Wekiva will now take possession.
I'm not sure I understand.
Michael Bradley on the punt, and the Mustangs will not return. It is marked down at the 49-yard line of Viking territory, and that is where Wekiva will begin their opening offensive possession of the preseason classic.
So Neil Fisher, along with Mark Archie, bringing you the call of the preseason classic 2021. The opening debut for Jeremiah Rodriguez Schwartz in the Wekiva, on the Wekiva sideline, the head coach. And so Coach Schwartz sticks with the traditional. He's running a spread offense out of the style emphasis for 2 to 5 wide receiver sets. 1 back set, 50-50 run to pass ratio as Wekiva begins its first drive right at midfield.
Yeah, excellent field position to start. Oh, and a high snap. And yeah, the Mustangs are going to have wisdom be the better part of valor there.
And that is Elijah Rooney, who was on the team last year as a freshman. He's got to start tonight. But the quarterback position is still wide open. Tyree Davis, a transfer from Edgewater, has been competing neck and neck with Rooney throughout the 9 months since Schwartz took over.
The snap is fumbled. Elijah Rooney is able to fall on it to keep possession for the Mustangs, but it costs them 13 yards. That brings up 2nd and 23 from the Mustangs' own 38-yard line. So much for the stellar field position. Of course, That's actually still not bad field position, but the 23 yards to go is a little bit of a tall order. We'll see how the Mustangs deal with this.
Rooney's first pass.
And it's caught. Elijah Rooney on the pass, and it is caught for the Mustangs by Christopher Reed.
And Reed, of course, one of the players who returns, mentioned at the beginning during our pregame that we don't have only 2 starters, but they do have a number of players who have been in the Wekiva system for a number of years. So, facing 3rd and long now, 3rd and 10 exactly. Your starting offensive line, George Reed, Holly St. Meles, Jacoby Lowry, Jazzy Valentine, and Edison Edmond. A very big team, about 270 up front. Again, not quite as quick as last year, but certainly bigger this year, as Rooney will take the snap out of the 1-back set, and we got flags all over the place. That was either offside or encroachment.
Flag on the play prior to the snap. Offsides called against the Vikings defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and a replay of 3rd down.
So the first break of the game goes to Wekiva. They were facing 3rd and 23 2 plays ago, now 3rd and 5. A 10-yard completion, Rooney to Reed, and then the 5-yard encroachment penalty just caught against Miami Norland, and things aren't looking quite as bad as they were. It's actually 3rd and 8. And they are actually on Miami Norland side of the field. 3 receivers, 1-back set. Rooney drops back, over the top pass. Yes! And there you see the raw talent we talked about, Justin Hutchinson.
Pass is complete from Rooney to number 24. Justin, that's Quaidar Cargill. And that is good for a Mustang first down. Ball spotted at the 17-yard line.
So the first big play of the game executed by Wekiva, and that puts them inside the red zone. That was 24 who caught. Okay. Rooney back to pass. And
that was dangerous.
Yeah.
That was very dangerous.
So again, as we mentioned, this is a young and experienced team. They are talented, but they do not have the learning curve that you would expect from a varsity team. And
pass from is intended for Roderick Mobley, and is broken up by Jeremiah Marceline.
So you're going to see that at every position, not just individually, but as a group. But it's probably no more obvious than at the quarterback position, because, of course, the quarterback is like the pitcher in baseball. He touches the ball on every play and makes the decisions. 1-back set again, quick handoff. That is James Brown. Testing the middle of the line, hitting hard. It'll get a couple of yards and bring up another 3rd down.
James Brown on the carry. That's a handoff from Rooney. Taken down by the Vikings, Aiden Martinez, after a gain of maybe a short 2 yards. That'll bring up 3rd and 8 for the Mustangs from the Viking 15-yard line.
So about halfway through the first quarter, the preseason kickoff classic, Wekiva with possession of the ball, taking on Miami Norland, 3rd and 8 for the Mustangs. That's Rooney.
In trouble.
Pressure. And Miami Norland answers the big play with one of their own, taking Wekiva out of any opportunity to get the first down.
Elijah Rooney is sacked at the 25-yard line for a loss of 10 on the play, sacked by Morris Thomas of the Viking defense, and that will bring up 4th and 18. And Neil, this is one of those moments where having a very early game with a new kicker makes you really question what you do here. In a professional game, this would be an obvious field goal attempt from this distance.
It's 42 yards.
Yeah, you're too close to the end zone to punt, so punting is not an obvious choice here. Obviously, 4th and 18 is a very tall order for going for it. But if you don't have a kicker that can make a 42-yard field goal, then that's kind of your only choice. Let's see what the Mustangs do here. Looks like Rooney is lining up.
Yeah, and Wekiva is going to also, because of no one's really taken the forefront in the running back situation, they're going to go by committee. Got a pass here, though.
Picked.
Oh, and there's the inexperience. Rooney throwing that straight into the secondary, and Miami comes up with two big defensive plays after Wekiva ventured into the red zone.
Pass is picked off by number 12, Andre Boykins, at around the 10-yard line. He runs back and is tackled by Mustangs number 54. Excuse me, number 50, George Reed, and 54, Jacoby Lowry. That brings the ball back to the 26-yard line for a return of about 16 yards. And the Vikings take over with first and 10. That also takes us to the midpoint of the first quarter, and so we'll be pausing for an official timeout. 0-0 is your score halfway through the first quarter here in the preseason classic as we open up our 15th anniversary season here at Baptiste Orthodox Stadium. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our friends at Baptiste Orthodontics, the proud sponsors of Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium here at Wekiva. Just last year, they're approaching their one-year anniversary of opening up a brand-new dentistry practice in the heart of downtown Apopka, their third location overall here in Central Florida, serving our young people and adults as well. But now their pediatric dentistry practice makes it easier than ever to coordinate all of your child's oral care between their regular dental procedures and checkups and their orthodontic work. You can get it all under one roof now with Dr. Baptiste and Dr. Alma. They are located just across the street at Kitland, Nelson Park, in their beautiful new office in the heart of Apopka. All right, we are back to live action here at Mustang Field here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. And again, the Vikings getting ready to make their second play. And it's going to go right up the middle.
Watching on YouTube. What's the chat?
No gain on the play. That brings up 4th and 3 for the Vikings as they've got a little run and gun here, not taking a lot of time for huddling between plays. That was Javin Simpkins who got the most positive yardage out of this series. They're going to go for it on 4th down. It's almost tipped, but the pass is complete to number 9, Isaiah Scott. That moves the chains as the ball comes up to the 45-yard line for a gain of 12 on the completion. 1st and 10 Vikings. Again, going no huddle. This time the handoff once again to Javin Simpkins, and he's got some distance. Simpkins on the carry, taken down by the Mustangs' Donovan Knight. That puts the ball into Mustang territory at the 46-yard line for a gain of 9. Once again, Simpkins on the carry. This time the stop made by Prince. That puts the ball at the 42-yard line. A gain of 4 on the play, fresh set of downs. QB keeper by Dion Parker that time for a short gain. And boy, they are just running plays faster than I can even tap them into the stats program. Pass is complete to number 8, Amarian Prince. Joaquin Reed. That puts the ball at the 29-yard line. Gain of 6 on that play. Fakes the handoff. Going to be a QB keeper. Flag on the play. Barreling through the Mustang defense. QB keeper for Deion Parker. Tackle is made by number 50. George Reed. That'll come back. The holding is called against the Viking offense. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. And a replay of first down. Ball is now spotted at the 40-yard line. And that'll bring up 1st and 21. Dropping back to pass this time. It's a little bit short and low. Eric Nelson is able to come back to the pass for a completion. Ball is spotted at the 38-yard line for a gain of 2 on the completion. That brings up 2nd and 19 for the Vikings from the Mustang 38-yard line. And that play isn't going anywhere. Flag on the play. Prior to the snap. Offsides called against the Mustang defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of 2nd down. So even after the donation, that's still going to be a long distance series for the Vikings as they're looking down the barrel of 2nd and 14 now. Preseason jitters, very common. You see these kinds of mistakes made. What's remarkable to me is the speed at which the Vikings are playing with this no-huddle offense, and that may very well have led to that offsides call. Here we're going to get, prior to the snap, false start is called against the Viking offense. That will return the 5 yards to the Mustangs. And again, a replay of 2nd down. So that speed to the line of scrimmage has cost the Vikings this time. They got a little bit too cute by half there, trying to draw the Mustangs off sides or at least catch them off guard for a big play, and it backfires on that particular. We got a screen over to Reed, and he's not going very far. We got a blue flag on the ground. That means the ball came loose, and a yellow flag as well. So the pass is complete to Joaquin Reed. Key Cooper caused a fumble, and we also have a flag on the play. It was against the Vikings. That penalty is declined, and so the Mustangs will take over. Thanks to Key Cooper, the Mustangs will start this possession at their own 38-yard line. So a turnover there, working wonders for the Mustangs, and maybe redeeming a drive that was not going well, as the Vikings were pretty successful there on that previous series at getting the better of the momentum. They were moving a very fast-paced series. They had us in the press box on our toes trying to keep up with them. They certainly had the Mustangs on their toes trying to keep up with them. And it was going pretty well, but that one fatal mistake and excellent work there by Cooper of the Mustangs. And Wekiva escapes from that series with no points scored, and now they have an opportunity to make some noise of their own. There's the snap. Got a new quarterback. It's a low pass, but it works. Tyree Davis in at quarterback. And he completes a pass to number 2, Christopher Reed. Reed advances to the 42-yard line for a gain of 4 yards on the play. make it 5 yards, and that'll bring up 2nd and 5. As Neil mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the Mustangs are kind of holding auditions here for the first-string quarterback position, and so in that sense, this preseason classic is being used much as it is in the NFL to make some decisions about the personnel. We got a flag on the play prior to the snap. Offsides called against the Vikings defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of 2nd down. So it looks like just based on the spot of the ball, I thought that, they are going to give it as a 1st down. They are indeed. Okay, it looked like it was real close. It depends on how long the previous run was, and they are going to say it is just enough. So that is just enough to push the ball over the set of chains and get another fresh set of downs for the Mustangs. Now at the 48-yard line, 1st and 10. Tyree Davis with the handoff to Terrell Weathers. Tackle made by Kennard Thomas of the Viking defense. A gain of 1 yard on the play. That'll bring up 2nd and 9 from the Mustangs' own 48-yard line. And that may be the last play of the quarter. We'll see. It doesn't look like Wekiva is rushing to get a snap off. Although it actually looks like they may not be aware of the clock. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. That takes us to the end of the first quarter. And we remain scoreless, but the Mustangs are on the move just about midfield. 0-0 your score at the end of the first quarter here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you, if you're not already doing so, to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Wekiva Sports for live updates from many of our athletic events, as well as news and information about our athletes and alumni. Again, it's Wekiva Sports on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and now Instagram. We also want to remind you that tonight's game is being carried live on YouTube as well as the NFHS Network.
You guys can trade turkey. You said that. That's what it looks like right now.
Welcome back to Mustang Field here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Oh my goodness, that was quite a hit on the opening play. Let's see who emerges from that huddle. Terrell Weathers starting off the play, but then the ball is popped up and picked up by number 52, Holly St. Mellis. So the Mustangs will stay in control, but will have a small loss on the play that pulls the ball back to about the 47-yard line Loss of 2 on the play takes us back to 3rd and 10. So that was a play that could have gone a lot worse. Airing it out and going long. There's a flag on the play. Pass intended for number 8, Amarian Prince, defended by Trevon Miller of the Vikings. Pass interference is called against the Vikings. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. And it's a Mustang first down. At least I think it is. Yep, there goes the chain gang. So the Mustangs pick up a first down the hard way there, or perhaps the easy way, depending on your perspective. Handoff, right up the middle, and a spin, breaking through tackles. He's got some room down to the 15, and Mustang carry by number 5, James Brown. That gets the ball all the way down inside the red zone. Spot is at the 15-yard line. That makes it a gain of 23 yards on the carry for Brown. 1st and 10, Mustangs. Snap. Handoff is rejected, and instead we'll try for the screen to Prince. That isn't there. Pass intended for Amarian Prince falls incomplete. 2nd and 10 coming up for Wekiva from the Viking 15-yard line. So this is the closest that Wekiva has gotten all game long. Still scoreless, 0-0 here. Just a couple of minutes into the second quarter. Again, Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva High School, along with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, taking you through this preseason contest. And again, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, this is the springboard into the 15th anniversary season here at Wekiva. Founded in 2007 and now going into the 2021-22 season. And there we go, had some movement. This is a recurring theme for the Vikings. Prior to the snap, offsides called against the Viking defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of 2nd down. So now it'll be 2nd and 5 for the Mustangs as they are knocking at the door and trying to put points on the board first after a scoreless first quarter here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Again, the Mustangs taking on a very storied team. A bobbled snap, but the Mustangs get it under control. At least nothing disastrous happening there as the QB keep by Tyree Davis is taken down by Thomas. And that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, instead we'll be looking at 3rd and I believe that's 5 yards, Mark.
So actually a gain of 1 on the play. And that'll bring up 3rd and 4 for the Mustangs from their own 9-yard line. So yeah, making something out of nothing there. That was a rough snap that could have gone very badly for Wekiva, especially that close to the end zone. But instead, Wekiva actually manages to make just a shade of forward progress there. And they've still got one more down to work with before they have to make a difficult decision here.
Davis will be working out of that one-back set, 2 receivers on the right. The Edgewater transfer goes to the air.
Got it! Did it come down in bounds? Yes, it did! Pass is complete to the Mustangs, number 2, Christopher Reed.
So a 10-yard touchdown pass from Tyra Davis, who not only...
It's not a touchdown, Neil. It is a first down, though.
Okay, excuse me.
Pass is complete at the 5-yard line. That is enough for the first down, although not for the touchdown. It brings up 1st and goal for Wekiva.
So I guess, Mark, we're still working into regular season form 2, but talked very much about this being a very young and inexperienced but talented team. And the quarterbacks is the most obvious position. You're seeing that on this drive. Tyra Davis under center, well, actually in the shotgun, lining up his receiver now. 9:10 remaining. He takes the snap. And do we have a touchdown? Forward progress?
No.
Not quite. So it'll be 2nd and goal from inside the 1-yard line as we drop under 9 minutes.
Handoff is made to James Brown, tackled by Morris Thomas, and stopped just short of the goal line. Looks like the ball is spotted at about the 2.5 yard line. We'll call that a gain of 3 yards on the carry. 2nd and goal.
And this drive for Wekiva started at the Miami Norland 35-yard line. So they've gone over 60 yards. They've chewed up about 7 minutes of the clock. They took over possession midway through the first quarter. And, of course, now the sun is starting to descend at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium on the southeast side of Apopka. Davis, who has been under center for this entire drive, his only time he's touched the ball, in a Wekiva uniform, he'll take the snap, handoff, plows ahead, and...
Is he there? Yes, he is.
Touchdown.
Number 5, James Brown, up the middle and into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown.
So that was old-fashioned smash mouth football. James Brown taking the handoff, and his 2 big offensive linemen in the middle. Jacoby Lowry, Holly St. Melesse on the left side, and Jazzy Valentine opened up a hole just enough for Brown to get through, and Wekiva takes a 6-0 lead with 8:05 remaining. And now the PAT will be attempted by Alejandro Camona, a senior. This obviously is his first point-after touchdown attempt.
Yeah, the Mustangs missing Amir Carlisle, who graduated last year. That, of course, after the great Oscar, whose last name escapes me right now.
Yes, I can't remember either. I'm sorry.
I think they got a piece of that. I want to say maybe number 7 there.
Yeah, that ball did the flutter about halfway through. So
the kick attempt is tipped away. And so that will be a dead ball. The try is no good, but the Mustangs take the first points of the game. 6-0 the score with 8 minutes, 5 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
So Miami Norland takes over, a handoff again at Simpkins. They're all everything running back, and he plows ahead. Second down, and the pass is complete.
And you'll have to help me out here, Neil. What was the first play? I was busy tweeting.
It was a 3-yard gain from Javin Simpkins. Simpkins, 5'8", 170 pounds. He's a Georgia Tech signee, class of 2023, so a junior. Line him up again, and Simpkins will plow ahead. Deion Parker, the quarterback for Miami Norland.
And what was the second play there, Neil?
That was a completion. I'm sorry, I did not see who the receiver was. So now 2nd and long. And again, they'll try the middle. And that was actually Javon Simpkins again. So Wekiva's starting lineup on defense. We have yet to see any changes. Sincere Edwards.
Simpkin on the carry for no gain. 3rd and 9 coming up for the Vikings. Yeah, this is what's challenging about this is because it's preseason classic and we're not doing kickoffs, the stats program that I'm using to keep stats assumes that you're going to do a kickoff, and then you have to manually override it and change all of the settings by hand, and by that time they're 3 plays into the drive. As we learned in the last series, Norland wastes absolutely no time getting to the line of scrimmage. They're fast even by no huddle standards.
Yeah, they're not just a no huddle team; they are a no huddle team. Extremely quick, but Wekiva, this 4-2-5 defense, which Coach Schwartz has installed as the new head coach of Wekiva, has certainly met the challenge. 3 possessions for Miami, and they have yet to be able to move the ball into Wekiva territory. And so Wekiva's 4-5-2 defense, which has been established by Coach Schwartz in his first season, has certainly met the challenge of this no-huddle, extremely up-tempo, no pace, no rest between plays offense of Miami Norland. 3 possessions for Miami Norland, and they have yet to move into Wekiva territory. 6:34 remaining, Wekiva with a 6-0 lead. And they will take over possession of the ball for the 3rd time today at their own 7-yard line. So a long way to go. That's the bad news for Wekiva. The good news, though, is that there is enough. They are in a situation with 6:34 left that they could just run out the remainder of the clock and take a 6-0 lead. Somewhat of a surprise if that is the case into halftime.
So the punt is down deep into Mustang territory, all the way back at the 3-yard line. And we will now pause for the water break of the second quarter. We've reached the midpoint of the second period, and so we'll pause here for an official timeout. Once again, we want to extend our thanks to Dr. Baptiste and his team at Baptiste Orthodontics with 3 convenient Orlando area locations for their support of Wekiva and all of our Orange County Public Schools. Dr. Baptiste would like to send his best wishes to all of the fans, the players, the coaches, and the faculty who help us to make football great at this stadium that is so named for his practice. And again, we hope that you have an opportunity to check out all that they have to offer in the heart of downtown Apopka. Baptiste Orthodontics, across the street from Kitland Nelson Park.
So welcome back. Wekiva with a 6-0 lead, possession of the ball. 6:34 remaining before halftime, but Wekiva is pinned deep in their own territory, the 3-yard line to be exact. Preseason classic kickoff. Miami Norland is the opponent. And Elijah Rooney back in.
And this one's not going anywhere. And boy, Mustangs don't have a lot of territory to give up here.
Now, Elijah Rooney, the quarterback.
Flag on the play prior to the snap. False start called against the Mustang offense. That'll be half the distance to the goal. And a replay of first down.
So, as we began our broadcast, Coach Schwartz is in his first year, not just at Wekiva, but as the head coach overall, and the players are taking on that same theme. A young, inexperienced, but very talented team in terms of the rawness, and certainly we have seen that. A quarterback battle between Elijah Rooney and Tyra Davis.
Here's another flag.
Another flag has been going on since January when Schwartz came in as the new head coach.
Dead ball prior to the snap. False start called against the Mustang offense. That's effectively a null penalty of a few inches, and it will be a replay of first down.
3/4 of a yard, I believe the official count there. They were at the 1.5-yard line. So, again, a quarterback duel between Elijah Rooney, number 18, who is in right now, and Tyra Davis, who was under center in the last drive, which was 65 yards, 12 plays, and a Wekiva touchdown, and that has spurred them into this 6-0 lead.
Now, you got to be careful here if you're the Mustangs. They've had a couple of wobbly-looking snaps, and you don't want a wobbly-looking snap when you're deep in your own end zone.
No problem this time. Rooney hands off, and once again, just up the gut running, nothing fancy.
And let's
burst through the middle. I believe that was James Brown.
We'll go with that. James Brown on the carry.
So as much as there is a quarterback battle going on between Elijah Rooney and Tyra Davis, who, by the way, are both sophomores, they saw limited time in backup roles last year, there's also a battle going on in the backfield among James Brown, Ramo Smith, and Terrell Weather. Coach Schwartz just flat out said that for the first 3-4 games of the season, it's going to be running back by committee.
Brown gets a gain of 2 to put the ball back to the original line of scrimmage, bring up 2nd and 10 from the 3-yard line.
And Rooney drops back, a nice, accurate pass, and that certainly will help Wekiva certainly get him out of the shadow of the end zone.
Pass is complete to Michael Foster, who's immediately taken down by Andre Boykins. That spots the ball at the 11-yard line for a gain of 8 on the play, and it brings up 3rd and 2 for the Mustangs. So here, Wekiva needs to get these chains to move because they do not want to be punting from there.
Yeah, 5 minutes remaining before halftime. And certainly the good news for Wekiva is, as you mentioned, Mark, 3rd and 2. That's much more manageable than what they were facing on the previous 2 plays. And again, they're on the other side of the 10-yard line. They're not snapping the ball right directly below the field goal post. So Rooney will line them up. 2 receivers on the right, 1 on the left, 1 back set. Handoff, play action, and no chance for Rooney. Or that offensive line just caved in under the pressure from Miami Norland, and Rooney was lucky to get that ball off.
The pass is incomplete, and that will bring up 4th and 2 for the Mustangs. Yeah, that was a play that did not go well, but could have gone so much worse.
Yeah, and I didn't see who was able to get into Rooney's face and cause that pass to be thrown before Rooney wanted to, and I didn't see who had that blocking assignment, but the defensive lineman came straight up through the middle, and that's really a shame. And again, that goes back to the inexperience of this Wekiva team in terms of varsity level experience. 4 blockers did a very good job holding off the defensive lineman, but just one player, one defensive lineman, got through the middle, and Rooney had no chance to really throw that pass. He wasn't even able to set his feet. So 4.5 remaining. Wekiva will have to run the ball.
And again, and the Vikings will take over in Mustang territory at the 40-yard line.
And so we will return with 4:24 remaining. 6-0 Wekiva in the lead, but Miami Norland, best field position of the day at the 40-yard line of Wekiva. So, welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Miami Norland takes over, 1st and 10 at the Wekiva 40. That's Parker dropping back. He's got a wide open receiver. Caleb Jean score the touchdown. 6-6. The secondary went to sleep.
Pass is complete to Vikings number 13, Caleb Jean, and that is good for a 40-yard completion, but there is a flag on the play. And it looks like the score is coming back. Call appears to be holding on the Vikings offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, so the score is negated, and the Vikings go back into their own territory at the 49-yard line for 1st and 11. Boy, the Mustangs dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, the football gods, I guess they smile on babies, and teams name the Mustangs.
And who did you say caught that, Neil?
That was Caleb Jean, the wide receiver, number 13. And really, that was a lucky break for the secondary more than anything else, because the secondary, as I said, went to sleep. So Miami Norland will go back to work, and that's Parker throwing to Jean again. A completion not nearly as long. That'll keep him behind the original line of scrimmage, but into Wekiva territory.
Pass is complete to Caleb Jean. Tamarian Foster has the stop for the Mustangs. A gain of 5 on the play puts the ball back into Mustang territory at the 46-yard line and brings up 2nd and 16.
Yeah, Miami Norland, that blitzkrieg pace And now Parker looks over to the sideline, so for one of the few times tonight, they'll actually snap the ball in less than about 7 seconds from the officials placing it. Parker, quick sideline to the sideline pass, incomplete. And so Wekiva will have an opportunity to take a deep breath. 3:30 remaining. Wekiva holding a 6-0 lead. They drove 65 yards midway through the second quarter on 12 plays. Tyra Davis handing the ball off to James Brown, who burst ahead 2 yards for that 6-0 lead.
And we've got some discussion happening on the field here. I thought I saw a flag down, but ineligible receiver. Illegal substitution is called against the Vikings. That penalty is declined, and so that will bring up third down.
So we talked throughout this game, the 4-2-5 being used by Wekiva under Coach Schwartz. And we'll get your secondary in a minute as Parker drops back on third down. And Wekiva is going to give up a first down. A beautiful route and a completion. And
pass is complete to number 9, Isaiah Scott. Tamarian Foster is there to make the stop. It is near the first down marker, but it looks like not quite over, and it will be 4th and 1.
And again, that quick pace by Miami Norland. They only needed a yard, and they get it. Handing off again to Simpkins.
Handoff is made to Javin Simpkins, and that got the Vikings the yard they needed, and then one more puts the ball at the 29-yard line, and it brings up 1st and 10.
Handoff again to Simpkins. And this time, pretty much the same result as the first handoff.
I believe that was Jenkins, actually, this time.
Okay, number 6, Levante Jenkins. So your secondary for Wekiva, again, it's a 4-2-5. 5 means they play with a nickelback. Jeremy Rudolph, Tamarian, Frosty Foster. Matt Perkins is your Jabari Smith, and Noah Putman. Perkins is the nickelback. Parker calls out the signals, drops back under pressure, escapes, and bobbled, caught, and a first down.
Pass is complete
Caleb
to number
Jean.
8, Joaquin Reed, and he is finally taken down by the Mustangs' Key Cooper, not before picking up a Viking first down. That puts the ball at the 11-yard line for a gain of 17 on the completion.
Parkins takes the snap, tipped at the line, and was that intercepted? Can't tell.
Well,
Wekiva
Caleb
is signaling
Jean
it
and
is.
Josh Smith were the two that were there.
Yeah, I saw 3 or 4 of the Wekiva players signaling the ball.
It is going Wekiva's way. Josh Smith makes the interception for the Mustangs.
So I didn't see who came up with the tip, but certainly that set the chain of action in motion. And Wekiva, barring what would be something of a really bad decision, is going to take a 6-0 lead into halftime. There is still 2:21 remaining. So, again, actually, maybe I shouldn't say that because Miami Norland does still have all 3 timeouts.
The Mustangs take over with 1st and 10 from their own 5-yard line and 2 minutes, 21 seconds remaining in the second quarter.
So once again, Wekiva, the good news is they have possession of the ball, and they have an opportunity to, at the very least, run off the remaining time in the clock. The bad news is they're at the 5-yard line, their own 5-yard line, under the shadow of their field goal. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi bringing you the call. Preseason Classic, that's Tyra Davis. And at quarterback, he calls out the play in the one-back set, get the handoff.
And right up
just
the middle.
a couple yards. So far, James Brown and Ramos Smith have carried the ball for Wekiva. Wekiva is going to use a running back by committee approach.
Brown on the carry for a gain of a generous 1 yard.
So Brown is responsible for our only points on the board. He scored a 2-yard touchdown midway through the second quarter. That gave Wekiva a 6-0 lead. The PAT was no good blocked. And so now 1:45 remaining. Tyra Davis, who is competing with Elijah Davis to become the permanent starter, having another opportunity. He did leave Wekiva to that first touchdown, 65 yards, and takes the snap out of the traditional one-back set to the air. Jump ball, intercepted, and Miami Norland answers Wekiva's interception.
Pass intended for Justin Hutchinson is instead picked off by Amos Allen, and the ball is going back to the Vikings.
So just that quickly, not only does momentum shift to the Vikings, Miami Norland, but certainly they have the advantage in terms of the situation. 1:26 remaining, and their best field position of the day at Wekiva 27-yard line.
Ball spotted at the 27-yard line.
So
First and 10 coming up for the Vikings.
Wekiva's defense has been excellent so far tonight, but they'll have to rise to their biggest challenge. Parker over the middle, score the touchdown. Joquan Reed left wide open, 6'6", 118 before halftime.
Pass is complete and into the end zone for number 8, Joaquin Reed. That one will count. No flags on the play. And Miami Norland ties the game 6-6 with 1 minute 18 seconds remaining in the first half.
27 yards.
Well, Neil, you might have jinxed it. You talked about how excellent the Wekiva defense had been all night, and then wide open. Nobody in the same zip code.
Yeah, the secondary fell asleep on that play.
And Reed had an easy opportunity to get into the end zone there.
Yeah, that was the kind of play you and I, Mark, we could have caught that ball and scooted into the end zone.
Well, you may be giving me a little too much credit there, but I'll take it. So now we have the try being attempted here, and obviously because it's preseason, no blocking attempts, but number 22, Michael Bradley, has the try good, and so Miami Norland takes the lead 7-6 with 1 minute 18 seconds remaining in the first half.
Yeah, and so coaches preach all the time, defense wins championships, and Miami Norland gets the break they needed on an interception on the very next play, 27 yards, and they are now up 7-6, 118 remaining before halftime in the preseason classic from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
So, of course, as we keep saying, it is the preseason classic, which, as I like to say, to borrow a phrase from Whose Line Is It Anyway, it's the game where everything's made up and the points don't matter. So both of these teams are going to come out of this game with a 0-0 record, no matter what happens. But this is still a consequential game. It really gives the coaches a sense of where the team is, what they have to work on, how they perform against an opponent that isn't themselves in practice. And as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Neil, some of these players on Wekiva are essentially auditioning for first string. So this, in a way, is being used the same way that you see preseason exhibition games used in the NFL.
Yeah, and one of those players, Elijah Rooney, at the quarterback position, goes to work.
Oh, that was so close. Pass intended for Christopher Reed, broken up by Andre Boykins.
Yeah, Boykin coming up big again. The Boykins made 3 big plays now, and that was an excellent pass by Rooney. He put it where only his receiver could catch it. But Boykins, perfect timing, getting his fingertips on that ball at just the right moment. And so now Wekiva, 2nd and 10. I do like that call, though, Mark. First down, a little over a minute before halftime, go for broke. Try to see if you can shake up Miami Norland and give them something to think about heading in when the second half starts with that long pass. So Wekiva running the spread offense with a pro-style emphasis. Rooney back to work, and we're going to get a whistle before the snap.
A timeout is called by the Mustangs. Mustangs use their first timeout of the first half. And we'll be right back.
snap to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs on the southeast side of Oaxaca. Neil Fisher, Mark Archie bringing you the call on this preseason classic. Miami Norland just took a 7-6 lead. It's Elijah Rooney handing off to Omari Haynes, his first carry of the night, and the sweep's going to produce a solid gain on first down, about 5 yards. So I believe it was Omar Haynes. It was Brown, actually. James Brown.
Brown on the carry, and that takes the ball to the 29-yard line for a gain of 4 on the play. And it looks like the Mustangs will go ahead and burn their second timeout here.
Yeah, 103.
Excuse me, that was Miami taking the timeout.
103 remaining before halftime. And so far, Mark, we have seen a defensive-oriented game, which really shouldn't be a particular surprise, given this is preseason classic football. Like every other sport, defenses tend to be ahead of the offenses for the first game or two. And Miami Norland has that 7-6 lead because of a fantastic defensive play. An interception on their last possession gave them the ball at Wekiva's 27. They scored on the pass the next play. Rooney out of the shotgun. He's going to go to Chris Reed right at the first down marker as we dip under 1 minute. And yes, the refs are declaring a first down for Wekiva.
Pass is complete from Davis to Christopher Reed. Tackle is made by Morris Thomas, and that puts the ball at the 39-yard line for a gain of 10 yards and a Mustang first down.
45 seconds remaining. Now, does Wekiva take their time? It looks like they're going to. Looks like they're going to use the school of thought. If we can get a big play, then great. If not, we'll go into halftime.
Or, of course, you could always have the official stop the clock for you.
Yes. And Chris Reed, who made that catch and gave Wekiva the first down, he's one of a number of players who are moving into starting roles for 2021.
Prior to the snap, false start called against the Mustang offense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of first down.
So we'd also like to take this moment and thank the broadcast production students, along with Keith Dickinson, who's the director of that program, handling our video aspects. 7-6, Miami Norland, as we are now under 30 seconds in the first half of this preseason classic. Rooney, incomplete, and that will stop the clock with 21.1 seconds remaining. And Wekiva now facing a second down. So if you're Wekiva, and of course, this is territory where a lot of times teams will just take a snap and go into halftime.
Pass falling incomplete there will bring up 2nd and 15 for the Mustangs, intended for Christopher Reed.
But I do not think Wekiva is going to take a snap here. Rooney came over, got the play from Schwartz. So I think they're going to take at least one more crack here to try to get some significant yardage. 21.1 seconds remaining. Wekiva down 7-6 to Miami Norland. Rooney out of the shotgun, going to the left, and a flag, incomplete, but the flag.
Flag on the play.
16.4 seconds remaining now.
Intended for Justin Hutchinson, the coverage by number 20, Amos Allen.
So we have not mentioned the wide receiver core. We've mentioned the two other offensive positions. And we got Chris Reed, Justin Hutchinson, Mike Foster. And he is officially listed as a wide receiver, but he's more of an athlete, does everything. That's Hakeem Lowe.
Defensive holding is called against the Vikings.
And so
10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. That will put the ball just this side of Mustang territory at the 44-yard line.
So a break for Wekiva. As you said, that's another 10 yards to the positive. There is only 16.4 seconds remaining before half. Rooney takes the snap, and another whistle. The ball was completed, but of course that's a moot point.
Flag on the play.
Play never actually took place because the flag was before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start called against the Mustang offense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot.
So,
And a replay of second down.
So Wekiva gives back half of those 10 yards on the defensive holding, and 2 seconds and change now comes off the clock. 13.8 seconds. The clock is going, and I believe that's going to do it for the first half. Wekiva's not even breaking the huddle. And the first half is officially over. Wekiva trailing 7-6 to Miami Norland as we head into halftime of the 2021 Preseason Kickoff Classic. So both teams scoring their touchdowns via their strength. Wekiva scoring on their third possession, a 65-yard drive. Tyra Davis at the helm, 12 plays. James Brown taking the handoff 2 yards out, busting through the middle, going behind the center of his line. Jacoby Lowry. Holly St. Melesse and Jazzy Valentine, the 3 offensive linemen that Brown followed into the end zone to take that 6-0 lead. The PAT was blocked. And then with about 4 minutes remaining, Wekiva with a great opportunity to really take control of the game, at least in terms of clock possession. Unable to do that, Rooney threw an interception at the 27-yard line. Wekiva's own 27-yard line. The very next play, Deion Parker, the 5'10", 205 quarterback, throwing to Caleb Jean, who was left wide open at the 7-yard line. All Jean had to do was turn the ball upfield and take about 7 steps, and their PAT was good. And so we are 7-6 at halftime, the 2021 Preseason Kickoff Classic from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field for the first time of Season 15, the Pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. Wekiva Band under the direction of Mr. Joshua Grossniklas and the color guard under the direction of Mr. Michael McKee. Tonight's show is entitled El Fuego.
hurry up. Go on break, go on break. All right, go direct. Did I say something wrong now? All right, let me know what camera's up.
Yeah.
How about you cut the camera too really quick?
Oh, they're both up?
Well, 2 needs to focus. Is it far away or close up? All right, 2's hot. I'm gonna fix 1. Kimberly, they want me to do a pan, so let me know when I'm moving. I know, I messed up. Come off me. Alright, am I good? Alright, I can redo it in a second, hold on. So I went way too fast there. Chris tells us I'm going to go right there. Back on 1, let me know. Alright. We got a football kid flying around. I'm just going to get shots of people. You tell me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band.
Most of it. Usually the visiting team has one, but they don't have one today. Well, no, they drove 4 hours. They came from Cuba.
Can I have it?
Chris getting yelled at. I don't know if you want this sentimental moment, Chris. Anyway, these people are in my shot. Oh, Cleveland. All right, Chris, camera 2 is going to be at the Gatorade, so you know which camera it is.
Welcome to the press box. Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wekiva High School, along with Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. And Neil, it's been certainly an interesting and eventful first half. Mustangs had a lot of great moments, but as is so often the case with inexperienced teams in high school football, it has been a story of big plays.
Yeah, certainly this has been a preseason kickoff classic, gone as you would expect, some good, some bad. And we are 7-6 at halftime. One thing, though, I am actually very surprised, a pleasant surprise, is that Wekiva has only given up 7 points on defense. And the defense has given up 7 points, and that was really not their fault because, again, talked about it throughout the remainder of the first half. And that was that Elijah Rooney threw an interception at the Wekiva 27. Now, they did not play well. The very next play, they gave up a touchdown, and the receiver, Reed, was left wide open. But, if you make – I would really say that's the only really bad decision and bad play that the Wekiva defense had in the first half. And if you do that once in each half, I like my odds of winning.
Yeah, like I said, we really didn't know what to expect going into this. We knew that Wekiva had a lot of raw talent. You had talked to Coach Swartz earlier in the week, gotten kind of a preview of what to expect. Miami Norland is a team that we really know mostly by reputation. They are obviously not a school that we have an opportunity to follow closely during the regular season from year to year because they're not really on the radar for us until you get well into the postseason. Again, by reputation, we know that they are a threat, and they have proven that that is certainly the case tonight, but this game could go any direction as we get into the second half. I mean, looking at your stats from the first half, Vikings had the Mustangs on first downs 8-6. Total yards, Vikings 128, Wekiva 81. Passing, Norland was 10 for 14 for 96 yards. Wekiva 6 of 13 for 67 yards. Not a lot of action happening on the ground on either side. Norland had 32 yards on 13 carries, most of which came from Javon Simpkins, who had 5 for 20. On Wekiva's side, just 12 rush attempts for 14 yards, most of which came from James Brown. Everybody else was in the red. Penalties, that's pretty typical in a preseason classic. You don't quite have your rhythm down yet. You are subject to, as coaches would say, stupid mistakes. And we've certainly seen that play out. We've seen a lot of dead ball fouls tonight, a lot of false starts, a lot of offsides calls. And that has played out with 8 penalties for 65 yards on the Norland side, 5 penalties for 17 yards on Wekiva's side. Of course, it would be a lot more than that if it were not for the fact that Wekiva was getting half the distance to the goal from the 1-yard line. 2 turnovers on each side, one of which converted into points for Norland. That's how they got on the board. The 2 fumbles on the Mustang side, none of them lost. 1 interception thrown. And then, of course, we just had the difference. The difference in the score has been the special teams with that PAT going in for Norland but not for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Wekiva's PAT was actually blocked, so credit to the special teams of Miami Norland. As you mentioned, not a lot of...
A little bit of credit there, Neil, because it is preseason, so you actually can't aggressively jump over the line of scrimmage to block. So that's not a kick that was likely to have gone in anyway. It is a block in the sense that it bounced off of somebody, but it bounced off of somebody because it was low.
Yes, but nonetheless, that certainly showed Miami Norland aggressiveness on their side, which I'm sure the coaches will be happy. It certainly shows they're looking to take advantage of other teams' mistake. We mentioned the fact that Wekiva's defense has only given up that 1 touchdown, and while it was a horrible, the secondary went to sleep. It was more, you could also say it was at least partially the fault of the offense because they turned the ball over an interception at their own 27. However, Wekiva did put together a 65-yard drive, started with about 2 minutes left in the first quarter, ended with, I believe it was 4:40 left in the second quarter. It was 12 plays, and I think, again, that really encapsulates Wekiva in the underlying theme of raw talent but young and inexperienced, because it was a drive which showed their potential, showed what they can do, but they've also had 3 other drives in which they really haven't done much.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, the preseason classic is a useful tool for the coaches. It's a useful tool for fans to kind of get an idea of what to expect, and it's a potentially consequential event for players who are just on the cusp of being first string or being decided between varsity and JV, where they're going to spend most of their time playing over the course of the season. This is kind of an exhibition game similar to the NFL preseason. And so we've seen a lot of experimental plays tonight, which is pretty typical when you're playing a game, again, that no matter what happens tonight, these teams are both going to come out of it with a 0-0 record, and then the games that really count start next week. To start to tease that as we get into the upcoming season, in case you missed this at the top of the broadcast, and we'll lose the score bug there. Olympia coming up first. That's coming up on August 27th. Wekiva starts with 2 games on the road, September 3rd at Ocoee. The 10th, they host West Orange. We'll carry that here on Mustang TV. 9/24, they head over to Lake Nona on the opposite edge of the county. October 1st is homecoming. They'll be hosting Ridge Community. That's a district game. Districts got shaken up this year a little bit because the FHSAA went on a 1-year redistricting program because of the pandemic and everything else going on. They decided to do an odd cycle to get synced up with some of the other sports. Then we host Evans on October 8th, travel to Edgewater on the 15th. That should be an explosive game. We'll host Eastridge on the 22nd, and that'll be senior night. On the 29th, we head to Winter Haven. That's over in Polk County, down the road from where I grew up. And then finally, wrapping up the season in the Mayor's Cup. That changes location every year. This year it is at Apopka, and that'll be on November 5th as we get ready to head into the postseason. So it looks like we are getting ready to get started again. And once again, in preseason action, there are no kickoffs. It is just placed at the 25-yard line, 1st and 10. So no kicking game tonight. And the Vikings took the opening drive of the first half, so that means the Mustangs will get the opening drive of the second here. Wekiva has the first offensive possession of the second half, again because it's preseason, no kickoffs, and so they will begin from their own 25-yard line. High snap and in trouble, oh my. The snap is over the head of the quarterback and is brought under control for the Mustangs by number 6, Hakeem Lowe.
So Hakeem Lowe, a name we have not called yet tonight. He's a transfer coming down the road from Apopka. So he finally gets his name on the board. Certainly did not expect that to be his first call, but nonetheless.
Loss of 11 on the play. It brings up 2nd and 24 for the Mustangs from their own 11-yard line. So that's not what the Mustangs wanted to do to start off the third quarter.
Yeah, an 11-yard loss from Wekiva behind the 8 ball right from the beginning, trailing 7-6. Difference is a PAT. Miami Norland converted, Wekiva did not. And that's Tyra Davis out of the shotgun, the one-back set that Wekiva uses. Hands off, and nothing doing, trying to go to that right side, so it'll be 3rd and long.
Carry by number 3, Ramel Smith.
That's his first carry of the day.
That puts the ball at the 9-yard line for a loss of 2 yards. And that'll bring up 3rd and 26 for the Mustangs. So, Neil, somebody may need to go down there and whisper in the Mustangs' ear that we're in the next quarter now, so they're supposed to be going south, not north.
Yes. Your offensive line starting the second half, the same as the first. George Reed, left tackle. Howie St. Molest, left guard. Jacoby Lowry, the only returning starter on offense at center. Jazzy Valentine, right guard, and Edison Edmond on the right tackle. Davis out of the shotgun again. We'll see that about 90% of the time. Drops back, completion, but still going to be short of the first down.
Pass is complete to number 2, Christopher Reed, but the stop is made by Jamari Holloman.
So Christopher Reed, again, one of those players who was on the team last year but moving into a starting role this year.
And I stand corrected. That pass is ruled incomplete. The ball is back to where it was at the 10-yard line.
Okay, so it's a moot point altogether, not even a matter of how short he was. So Wekiva goes 3 and out on their first series here in the second half, trailing 7-6.
Well, and not only that, Neil, but they go backwards in such a way
Yeah.
that it's going to create a field position disparity. Because, as we mentioned, with kickoffs eliminated, you know your first possession is going to start at the 25-yard line. In this case, the Vikings are to do much better than that.
And the Vikings will get excellent field position. The third consecutive series will be on Wekiva's 41-yard line, 8:57 remaining and ahead, 7-6. This is a preseason classic from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
Isaiah Scott makes the fair catch there. Neil, did you catch the punter? Fair catch made at the 40-yard line, and that is where the Vikings will take over with 1st and 10 with 8 minutes, 57 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
And remember, Miami Norland, they are quick. They are not no huddle. They are quick, no huddle. And great defense. Ball's loose.
Oh, they're going to call that live. I didn't think he had control of it.
That's a fumble. That's a fumble then?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think he had control.
No, I just thought it was an incomplete pass. Well, Wekiva's defense is still out on the field, so.
Yeah, they might have. Well, they may be calling that back because
Okay,
it's
so-
right back to the original line of scrimmage. Okay, so it is exactly what we thought it was the whole time. There just wasn't a whistle.
Yeah, just a very odd way to express by the referees. So,
Pass intended for number 15, Ivory Akins, falls incomplete, and that'll bring up 2nd and 10.
and that's Parker dropping back, going long again. He's got a receiver.
Just out of reach of Isaiah Scott. The pass falls incomplete, and that will bring up 3rd and 10 for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Boy, you got to admire the courage there to go for that, though.
Well, both teams now have actually gone to the pass, very long passes on their first play of the second half.
And frankly, that was blown secondary by the Mustangs. If that
Yeah.
pass had been on target, that was a touchdown.
Just an inch shorter.
Yeah,
we'd
that
be
was a
kicking
touchdown.
PAT.
Yeah, there was no question that would have been a touchdown.
Certainly a break for Wekiva, and that'll bring up 2nd down and long, 2nd and 10. Parker going back.
This time
And
he's got an open man.
Speaking of blown coverage, Wekiva does not get away with it the second time.
Pass is
There
complete
is-
to number 13,
Of-
Caleb Jean, who is into the end zone for a touchdown. We do have a late flag on the play near the goal line.
So what that indicates with 8:15 left is that the pass is completed. The question is for how much and if it does go into the end zone.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine where you're going to get an offensive penalty there. I'm going to guess that was some sort of illegal contact, maybe a face mask or a horse collar.
The flag came down around the 5-yard line. Was it? Was that Gene who caught it? So, yeah, it came down around the 5-yard line. Gene was clearly going to go into the end zone, and here's the call.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct is called against the Vikings. The result of the play, though, stands. It is a touchdown.
So, once again, Wekiva got away with blown coverage on one play, but not the second time. The Vikings make them pay for it, specifically Parker to Gene. And they now have a 13-7 yard, 41 yards the distance on the passing touchdown. And so Parker came into this half 10 of 14. He has ripped apart the Wekiva's defense. 96 yards, a touchdown in a PAT, or a touchdown and an interception, and he continues to hit his targets as the PAT is good, and the score is now 14-6, 8:15 remaining in the third quarter.
Martinez on the try, and it is good. That gives the Vikings a 14-6 lead over the Mustangs with 8 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So, Neil, we've seen that now happen probably 3 or 4 times, and of course the Vikings have been able to cash in on it twice now.
Yeah, and there you see the wrist side of the 4-2-5. We've told you throughout the broadcast. Coach Schwartz, this is his first head coaching assignment, not only first year at Wekiva, but he is a fan. He likes to use the 4-2-5. And the risk is you have four defensive linemen, and you go with those 4 defensive linemen because you want them to cover space. And once you do that, that takes away the ability to really be able to run past that.
As we mentioned earlier, there are no kickoffs in preseason classics, and so the Mustangs will automatically take over with 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line.
However,
after the 15-yard penalty is assessed.
However, if you do get past that first line, the defensive line, you have wide open space. And so Wekiva will go back to work. And again, they go back to the run, the rush. And now Miami Norland's defense is really starting to exert its physical presence. So this will be 2nd and 12. A loss of 2 yards.
Brown on the carry, no gain on the play. It brings up 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 40.
So the rest of your starting lineup in the second half for Wekiva. Tyra Davis actually started. Elijah Rooney is in now. Schwartz is alternating the 2 quarterbacks. Chris Reed, Justin Hutchinson, Mike Foster, and Hakeem Lowe are your wide receiver core. As Rooney takes the snap out of the shotgun, he'll go bubble screen to Hutchinson. Hutchinson with a nice move, and he mowers down the field and gains a first down, the first down for Wekiva.
Pass is complete to Michael Foster. And he's taken down by Morris Thomas after a gain of 11 yards. That puts the ball just into Vikings territory at the 49-yard line, and it's enough for a Mustang first down. We're going to pause here, though, as we have a man down.
Okay, and to complete Wekiva's starting lineup here in the second half, James Brown, Ramos Smith are your running backs. So that's certainly a good sign for Wekiva, and that's Chris Reed, who was down. He's now up, coming over to the sideline. So Wekiva, after a 3-and-out, and certainly that 3-and-out led to excellent field position by Miami Norland. They turned it into a touchdown. Wekiva gets its first down of the second half. Rooney takes the snap, handoff to Brown. He'll go left, back to the right, into the center, into the jaws of that Miami Norland defense, and once again, minimal gain.
Brown on the carry, this time picking up 2 yards to the 47-yard line. It brings up 2nd and 8 for the Mustangs.
(14-6), 6:20 remaining in the second half. Wekiva took the lead 6-0. 2 consecutive touchdowns by Miami Norland. And now Wekiva trying to answer. Miami Norland scoring on the very first series, their very first series of the second half. They have 1 first down, and the ball at the Miami Norland 48 as Rooney goes to work, slings the ball high, tipped, and falls harmlessly to the ground. So a lot of action, a lot of fingers, and a lot of bodies, and when it's all said and done, we go back to the 48-yard line for 3rd and 8.
Pass intended for number 13, Justin Hutchinson, falls incomplete. And that will take us to the midpoint of the third quarter. 5 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in the third quarter. And we'll pause for an official timeout.
And we'll be back. Wekiva facing 3rd and 8, down 14-6 in the third quarter. was the score of the touchdown? So, welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi with the call. Wekiva facing 3rd and 8, 5:40 remaining. They are down 14-6. Rooney, shotgun, drops back, feeling the heat on the blind side, picks up a block, throws, complete, but I think he's about a yard short. So now it's decision time for Coach Schwartz. 4th and 1, as there's now 5.5 minutes remaining in the third quarter.
Elijah Rooney completes the pass to Christopher Reed, tackled by Travion Miller, and that would have been near the first down marker. We have a flag on the play. Holding called against the Mustang offense, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and a replay of 3rd down.
Okay, so Coach Schwartz does not have to make
well,
a decision.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting decision to accept that penalty because I don't think he had the first down.
No, he was about a yard short.
But Norland is going to say they'd rather have the field position than to have Wekiva go for it on 4th and 1.
Yeah, and you know what? If I was Coach Heidelberg, the Miami Norland coach, I think I would go that way too.
Well, especially because the holding happened way in the backfield.
Yeah, that's part of it. But you're also up 14-6. You can afford to take a risk or two right now. And quite frankly, Wekiva is certainly playing like a team. We talked about it all throughout the game, young and experienced despite the raw talent. They've had 7 possessions, and they've only been able to move the ball more than 20 yards on the 1 touchdown drive.
The Mustangs take their first timeout of the second half. We'll take this opportunity once again to thank our friends at Baptiste Orthodontics for their sponsorship of Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium and the great service they provide to our Apopka community. They have 3 convenient locations in the Central Florida area, including their most recent beautiful facility across the street from Kitland Nelson Park in the heart of downtown Apopka, where they just last year opened up their brand new pediatric dentistry practice to complement their orthodontic services. They are just about to celebrate their 1-year anniversary of that grand opening, and you can get all of your child's oral care needs taken care of all under one roof with pediatric dentistry and orthodontics from Baptiste Orthodontics in Apopka.
So, welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi with the call of the 2021 Preseason Kickoff Classic. Wekiva scored first midway through the second quarter. A 2-yard rush by James Brown gave him a 6-0 lead. The PAT was no good. Since then, the Miami Norland Vikings, yes, Miami Norland, making a 3.5-hour trip from south, have scored 2 consecutive touchdowns to take a 14-6 lead. Wekiva now facing a 3rd and 33 here on their second possession of the second half. That's Rooney. He's going to try to make something happen, and he did gain about 4 yards, but again, they needed 33 after Wekiva was called for a holding call. So that holding call, there is another chapter in the Why Penalties Make Coaches Turn Gray book. Changed the whole complexion of that series, the whole complexion of the drive. And Wekiva is no better off now than they were when the second half began. Still unable to move the ball, still unable to get a first down. And they will have to punt the ball back to Miami Norland, who has caught fire, scoring on 2 of their last 3 possessions. 4:27 remaining in the third quarter.
Rooney on the carry. That takes the ball to the 36-yard line for a gain of 3, brings up 4th and 25. The Mustangs will have to kick the ball away.
So as we've said throughout this game, this is the preseason kickoff classic. So tangible sense as we get the punt with just under 4 minutes, 3:59 to be exact.
Punt is taken for the Mustangs by number 3, Ronell Smith.
The record is not affected. However, this is an important game for for every team that plays a kickoff classic. In particular for Wekiva, a lot of questions involving their youth and inexperience. A very raw, talented team. And we did see that in their 1 scoring drive, going 65 yards on 12 plays. But they make just still a lot of inconsistency. Only 2 returning starters from last year. Miami Norland will now go to work at their own 30-yard line. And they're all everything running back. Simpkins gets the call, and he's dropped behind the line of scrimmage. Simpkins gaining 20 yards on 5 carries in the first half.
Simpkins on the carry to open up the drive for the Vikings. That's going to bring the ball back. Started at the 30-yard line, now at the 27, a loss of 3 on the play. 2nd and 13 coming up. And we're going to hold here as that looks like, I think that's Hakeem Lowe that's slow to get up there.
Yeah, Hakeem
deep
Lowe,
in the secondary.
number 4. Of course, he transferred from Apopka. And unfortunately, we have not called his name very much tonight. This is only the 2nd time. And now I see, it looks like number 21. And I do not see a 21. But he is, looks like he's going to go in for Lowe. And no, that actually is not Hakeem Lowe. I can see that Hakeem Lowe is standing. He's number 4.
Yep. I have Lowe as 6. Rudolph is 4.
Is Rudolph? So once again, Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium is the site in southeast Apopka on the campus of Wekiva High School. Miami Norland has made the 3.5-hour trip based out of Miami Gardens. And they have a 14-6 lead as we approach 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. They have possession of the ball at their own 28, and they are going to go to the ground. And the defensive line comes up big with a loss. That defensive line collapsed the offensive line as soon as the ball was handed off to Simpkins. And now 3rd and I think 22 for Miami Norland.
Ball is spotted at the 19-yard line. That'll drop 8.
So Parker lines up the Vikings again.
3rd and 21 coming up for Norland.
Running out of the shotgun. He's pressured, goes to his right, and throws a bullet, but out of bounds. Again, good defense. There's why you play the 4-2-5. Heavy pressure on Parker, and he was unable to get that throw, and good job by the secondary.
Pass intended for Eric Nelson, falling incomplete. That'll bring up 4th and 21 for the Vikings. So, Neil, we've kind of seen the reverse of what Wekiva has been experiencing for the last couple of drives. Heavy defense, and the ball going entirely the wrong direction.
Yeah, that was a nice sign there for Wekiva. But again, we go back to that underlying thing, very raw talent, but young and inexperienced. So Wekiva goes 2 drives where the previous drive, Miami Norland scores. They get an easy touchdown, a 41-yard pass from Parker to Gene, who was wide open, the kind of wide open you could wait at the bus corner for the bus to come and ride the whole route. And then on this possession, they come back and force a loss on 2 of the 3 plays. So that is Justin Hutchinson, who probably would have taken that, been a little bit more conscious of the fundamentals if this was a regular season game. And Wekiva will get its best field position, starting field position of the second half, right at the 50-yard line.
And again, you'll remember that special teams are very simplified in preseason games. There's no returning. There's no. It's just wherever it lands. It can either be a fair catch or it can roll to a stop. That's pretty much all that can happen. The punt takes the ball to the 50-yard line, and the Mustangs will take over from there with 1st and 10.
So Wekiva trailing 14-6, 2:18 remaining in the third quarter. Still plenty of time for Wekiva to win this ball game. We talked about throughout this game, a very young and inexperienced team. About 25% of the members on this team have played varsity level ball. Only 2 returning starters from last year. And that's Tyra Davis.
Oh, my. Look at that.
Off. Yeah, that was Terrell Weathers making his first carry of the night, and he got slammed by that defensive line of Miami Norland.
Terrell Weathers on the carry. Cameron Thomas is there for the TFL. That's going to pull the ball back 5, maybe 6 yards. Puts the ball at the 44-yard line. And that will bring up 2nd and 16 for the Mustangs. Yeah, he's going to feel that in the morning.
Yeah, the old saying, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide to. As soon as he got that handoff from Davis, he had 5 defensive linemen on him. So
yeah, well, and keep in mind that Terrell Weathers took the brunt of that, but he didn't actually do anything wrong there.
No,
that was blown line.
Offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line went to Swiss cheese there.
Yeah, so now that leaves Wekiva in a 2nd and 18. Davis under center, actually out of the shotgun. He's the quarterback, alternating with Elijah Rooney, 1-back set. 2 receivers on the right. The handoff again to Weathers, and again, he got himself a couple extra seconds, but the same end result, a major loss, and the offensive line did not give him any blocking up front. As we are now under 1 minute remaining in the third quarter.
Terrell Weathers again on the carry, this time Jermaine Beard with the stop behind the line of scrimmage, and that will pull the ball back to the 36-yard line for a loss of 8 on the play.
Yeah, so Wekiva's lost 12 yards on 2 consecutive plays. And I think now we're starting to see how inexperience and youth can really wear a team down. Of course, in the first half, it was all about making those mistakes which change the complexion and puts your team in a bad hole. But I think now we're just seeing conditioning, just the team mentally and emotionally not ready to play this deep into a game. Last play of the third quarter, 3rd and 30 to go for Wekiva. Davis drops back out of the shotgun, throws the ball up, and
shorts, yeah, and that was easy deflection there. Pass intended for Christopher Reed is deflected away by Jamari Holloman. And the placement there just made it so easy for Holloman to get in there.
Okay, so actually there will be one more play here in the third quarter. That's going to be the punt. As Wekiva obviously is not going to go for it.
The pass there was short, and so Reed had to come back for it. But Holloman was already behind him, and if that pass had been thrown ahead of Reed, he probably would have had some room to run. But since it was thrown behind him and forced him to come back, Holloman had an opportunity and just did exactly what he's trained to do. Never had a chance of making that catch. In fact, he's lucky it wasn't picked off.
And so as we close out the fourth quarter here on the punt, Miami Norland will have 1st and 10 to begin the fourth quarter. Just also wanted to talk about the offensive line. They've made some really good blocks, but of course they look like they're getting worn out. This is a team that's much bigger than it was last year. In my estimation, the biggest team physically Wekiva's ever had. But they have also lost something of the speed they had last year. Their offensive line, they go 390, 270, 230, 240, and 240. So certainly they got some size there, about 270. Much bigger team, but they certainly are not getting the job done. Again, the consistency is lacking.
Ramel Smith punts from the 36-yard line. Joaquin Reed has the fair catch at the opposing 36-yard line, and that takes us to the end of the third quarter. We'll switch sides and get into the last 12 minutes of this preseason classic. The Vikings leading the Mustangs 14-6. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to remind you, if you are depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game and you've not already done so, make sure you give them a call and let them know that we are headed into the fourth quarter and it's time to make that phone call and let them know to head this way. We appreciate your cooperation in helping our administrators to close the facility and get home to their families as quickly as possible after the conclusion of tonight's game.
And we begin the fourth quarter with Simpkins taking the handoff.
And that's not a particularly clever play. It's one that...
But it's effective.
Yep.
About 5 yards, and they're going to go to the other side now, the same play. Simpkins carrying, and this time he's cut down after about, no, actually he does gain 5 yards. So 2 carries for Simpkins, 5 yards, and a first down. And now I think you're going to see Miami Norland. They're not going to do anything fancy. Their main concern is to keep that lead. Don't make a mistake. Again, Simpkins straight up the middle. Plows ahead. Clunk, clunk, clunk. And that'll take more time off this clock. So another 3 yards for Simpkins. Out of the shotgun. Parker over the middle. Change of pace. Caught. And about 3 more yards by Avery Akins. There's a name we have not called all night, Mark. A 15-yard gain. Another first down, and the clock will continue to run.
Pass is complete. Caught by Avery Akins. And that takes the ball down to the 34-yard line for a gain of 15 on the completion.
So,
First and 10 coming up for the Vikings. And we'll pause here again. We have a player slow to get up.
Yeah, so again, Parker was 10 of 14 for 96 yards at halftime, and he has continued that just phenomenal pace. He's only thrown 2 passes in the second half, but he's completed both of them. 41 yards, that was the touchdown, which made the score 14-6 to Gene. And now the 15-yard completion to Akins, which has just garnered another first down for Miami Norland. Norland, 10:44 remaining. So that's certainly getting the most efficiency-wise. 2 passes, a touchdown, and a first down for Parker and Miami Norland. And the score is now 14-6, 10:44 remaining. This is the 2021 Preseason Kickoff Classic from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the campus of Wekiva High School. That's on the southeast side of Apopka, right next to the 429. And I just want to take a quick minute here, too, to thank Keith Dickerson and his students. That's the broadcast production department here at Wekiva, who, as they have for the last 6 years, are handling the video aspect of this broadcast. Neil Fisher, Mark Barksey bringing you the video, bringing you the call for this preseason kickoff classic. And Wekiva certainly in a situation, they got to come up with a stop. They have been steadily losing control of this game. Hand off again to Simpkins. He's going to try that left side. Hit at the line, but the big back, the Georgia Tech signee, 5'8", 170 pounds, drags about 5 defenders. And when all's said and done, it's a 4-yard gain, but most importantly, that keeps the clock ticking under 4 minutes now.
Simpkins on the carry, gain of 4 on the play. Ball the 31-yard line, 2nd and 6.
And Simpkins plows ahead again, breaches into that linebacker row, and he will gain another first down, 7 more yards.
Simpkins on the carry, and just short of first down yardage. Pick up there of 5 yards on the play. 3rd and 1.
And now they go to Miami Norland, goes to Levante Jenkins, a change of pace. And so Wekiva can take a deep breath for a couple of seconds as they're
Jenkins on the carry, puts the ball at the 28-yard line for a loss of 2 on the play. 4th and 3 now coming up.
Parker out of the shotgun, and it looks like Wekiva moved offside. So
oh, that's deadly right there.
Yeah, had a chance to stop this drive, gain some momentum, still have 9 minutes remaining.
Flag on the play prior to the snap. Offsides called against the Mustang defense. A 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and that is enough for a Viking first down.
As you like to say, Mark, 5 yards to the Viking cause.
Yeah, that's a donation that Wekiva didn't really need to make.
And yeah, it's deadly in the fact that Miami Norland keeps possession, but now they get another 4 downs to keep that clock ticking. And Wekiva did gain some momentum on the previous play, stopping Jenkins for a 2-yard loss. Empty the backfield. Parker drops back. He's going into the end zone. Scores a touchdown. That is
Pass
Joaquin
complete
Reed.
to number 8, Joaquin Reed, and that is good for a 23-yard touchdown completion.
Yeah, Reed just simply went high, went over the defensive back, the cornerback, snagged that ball. But give credit to Parker once again. He has been accurate, deadly accurate tonight. Put that in a location where only Reed could get his hands on the ball. And so Parker has now gone 3 of 3 in the second half for 79 yards. And the 20-6 score can now go to 21-6. 8:35 remaining. Ball's down, snaps up, and is no good.
Kicked by number 22. Michael Bradley is wide left. So the score remains 20-6 with 8 minutes, 35 seconds remaining in the ball game.
When was your first touchdown of the half scored? Mark, did you hear me?
8:15, third quarter.
So the Vikings extend their lead here with 8 minutes, 35 seconds. Wekiva going to see if they can answer here. Again, it doesn't, in a tactical sense, doesn't really matter the outcome of this game, but still you'd like to see for the Mustangs a strong performance in the books, especially to close out and get some momentum going into the first game of the regular season.
And that's Rooney behind center. Obviously, even if that pass had been completed, it would have been out of bounds. 8:22 remaining. And so, Mark, of course, I will be able to talk to Coach Schwartz on Monday, but with most of this game gone, there were a number of questions answered. I think the most obvious and the most noticeable was the quarterback situation. I'm not really sure if we've really resolved any of those questions coming in.
No, I mean, you've seen some moments of inspiration from both of them. You've also seen some moments of confusion, I think, from both of them.
Yes, like just what we just saw.
Yeah.
So one back set, 2 receivers on each side, 8:22 remaining.
Some shenanigans.
And melt motion.
There's the flag.
And
free
the run's
play.
Not going to matter.
Well, it's a free play.
Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry. Got confused there. Yes, Wekiva is on offense, and that is going to be against Miami Norland. So again, Wekiva comes into the season. We've mentioned it throughout the game, a very raw, talented team. A team with quite a bit of experience playing football, but not at the varsity level. Only 25% of the roster has ever taken a snap at the varsity level. Only 2 returning starters, but they also have a very young head coach, Coach Jeremiah Rodriguez Schwartz. This is his first coaching gig, his very first game as the head coach.
Well, Neil, you know what? I'm going to take it back. I assumed that was a free play for the Mustangs, but now they're going the wrong direction.
So some good
flag on the play against the Mustangs, back them up 5 yards, and a replay of second down.
So
I thought that was going to be against Norland.
Yeah, so some good momentum. I like to use the word thundering. It looked like the linemen, granted it was only 3-4 yards, but I think that was a good sign that they held their blocks, but it's going to go for naught. And so Wekiva will face 2nd and 15 as we drop to 7.5 remaining in the Kickoff Classic. Rooney under pressure.
Oh, boy.
And now there's just nowhere to go. Again, the offensive line unable to come up with the blocks. And, you know, as we get deeper and deeper into this game, it just looks like Wekiva is wearing out physically. A part of that inexperience, not used to playing for this long at such an intense level.
Elijah Brown excuse me, that's number 99, Siobhan Minot, and Kennard Thomas taking down the Mustangs for the sack. Ball is spotted at the 10-yard line for a loss of 10 on the play. It brings up 3rd and 25. So, yeah, Neil, it looks like the Mustangs at this point are starting to run out of gas.
Yeah, and again, I don't necessarily think that's because they don't have the size. We mentioned, all their offensive linemen as the series is going to come to an end. Nothing doing there with Brown's carry. Their smallest offensive lineman's like 240. They're just not used to having to play at such a high intensity for such a long period of time.
James Brown on the carry, tackled by number 11, Jeremiah Marceline, after a loss of 4 on the play. That pulls the ball back to the 6-yard line and brings up 4th and 29.
And so now Wekiva's facing, I believe this is the 4th possession tonight. They're going to have to punt the ball, or at least at some point during the possession, the ball carrier, the player touching the ball, was doing so in the end zone. We saw that on 2 of the first 3 possessions in the first half. As we are now under 6 minutes, 20-6 is the score. Miami Norland has scored 20 consecutive points in this 2021 preseason kickoff classic at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. And the kick gets off, and again, Miami Norland.
Fair catch made by number 15.
Miami Norland will take over at the Wekiva 41-yard line.
Ivory Akins making that fair catch. The ball will be spotted at the 40-yard line, and the Vikings will take over from there.
And this is,
ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to remind you that if you are depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game and you have not already done so, give them a call and let them know that we are headed into the last 5.5 minutes of the game, and they should be on their way. We appreciate your cooperation in allowing our administrators to close the facility promptly after the conclusion of tonight's game and get home to their families. Thank you.
and so, once again, Wekiva comes into this season earning a berth into the state playoffs 6 of the last 7 seasons. They have a 57-23 record. They are going to have some work to do, though, if they're going to get back to there. But I would not say that it's because they don't have talent. And while we got a moment here, Miami Norland, who won the 2002 state championship from Miami Gardens, just north of downtown Miami, about 10 miles, taking over possession at the 41. We've talked a lot about Coach Schwartz tonight. This being his debut as a head coach, not just the Wekiva coach. But he certainly has put in his time. He has worked his way up the ladder. We got a new quarterback in. That is number 16, Kelvin Murray, 5'11", 190 pounds. And I think Miami Norland now is just going to be content to not only run the ball, but run the clock out by running the ball.
Kelvin Murray comes in at quarterback, makes the handoff to Trayvon Miller, and no gain on the play. That comes back to the 40-yard line and brings up 2nd and 10. We'll pause here as we have a timeout taken by Wekiva. Mustangs timeout.
Yeah, 4:55 remaining, 20-6 the score remains. Miami Norland has scored 20 consecutive points. Going back to Coach Schwartz, certainly he has put his time in, and he certainly has worked his way up the ladder. He is a graduate of Edgewater High School, 2008. Played for Bill Gerke. And for those of you who follow high school football, the name Bill Gerke is legendary. He coached at Edgewater for over 30 years, won a state championship, took several other teams to the final. And Coach Rod Sanchez has just flat out said that Gerke has had the biggest influence on him, not as a coach, but just as a person. And maybe even more so, the role of a coach in terms of being a positive influence in a player's life. He went on to Iowa State Hampton, played for them, a running back, earned his degree in sociology in 2013, his master's in education in 2016. As we get back to live action, 4:55 remaining. And we're going to see a pass.
Pass is complete
Murray,
to Vikings number 19, Eric Nelson.
and Murray to Nelson. That'll gain a first down.
Stop is made after the catch by Key Cooper.
And again, the Getty-up offense of Miami Norland. Handoff.
Yeah, that is too fast.
Yeah, 4:36 remaining. So, again, getting back to Coach Schwartz. He actually earned his master's degree from Durham University. That's actually in England. Yes, good old jolly England. He went overseas across the pond, about 155 miles north of Scotland. And his coaching career started at Durham University. They started a football team, and he was tabbed as the offensive coordinator. As Miami Norland is now facing first and 15, and they're just going to hand the ball off and try that right side.
Play made by Kelvin Murray, and the tackle made by Quadar Cardrell.
So it'll be under 4 minutes the next play. Miami Norland holding on to the 20-6 lead.
Ball is spotted at the 31-yard line, a gain of 1 on the play.
Out of the one-back set, and Murray's going to throw. Got some pressure. He goes high, deep, overthrows.
Pass intended for number 15, Ivory Akins, falls incomplete.
And so once again, something of a break for Wekiva because Aiken was open. He had clearly beat the secondary. Getting back to Coach Schwartz now. I just want to finish his resume. He started his coaching career in Durham University in England. Offensive coordinator. He was in the running back at Hialeah Gardens. Miami Norland offensive line. Oak Ridge offensive line. And then Orangewood Christian as the offensive coordinator. Murray goes back to the air, the bubble screen. Nice job by Wekiva's defense of shutting that bubble screen down. That was Akins with the catch, but he had nowhere to go as 3.5 minutes are now remaining. So Coach Schwartz is now the algebra teacher here at Wekiva High School. So that's the rundown on Coach Schwartz. And go down to fourth and long, and Wekiva's defense comes up big. So that's a good sign, even though we are late in the game, and obviously Miami Norland's going with some non-starters. Still, a sack is something you can always build off of. So, and again, just want to say about Coach Schwartz, still has a long way to go. I'm sure he would be the first person to tell you that he has a lot to learn about being a head coach, but in the 9 months that I've worked with him and have had a relationship with him, I certainly think he is the right man for this time at Wekiva. As we mentioned, Wekiva looking to continue its at least getting into the playoffs.
The Mustangs will take over on downs after the sack. The ball spotted at the 35-yard line. 1st and 10 Mustangs.
And that's Davis in with 3 minutes exactly remaining, 20-6. Miami Norland lead. Handoff to Cooper. And some solid yardage on the left side.
Key Cooper on the carry for the Mustangs. That puts the ball at the 37, make it 38-yard line.
So
Gain of 3 on the play, make it 4. And that'll bring up 2nd and 6 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, so Coach Schwartz certainly, I think why he's the right man for this job at this time is because this is such a young team. Schwartz, of course, is a younger coach himself. But I think he comes in with a lot of energy, and I think he comes in with a lot of ability to shake things up. Starting again, we talked about the 4-2-5 as Davis drops back. And
nice completion.
Nice move by Reed. Swings upfield.
Christopher Reed with some extra yardage after the catch on the completion from Tyree Davis for a big Mustang first down.
Yeah, Reed turned a 15-yard gain into about 30. Mark's still tabulating the totals.
Ball is spotted at the 32-yard line. That's a gain of 29 on the completion. And yes, tabulation, thankfully we have computers to help with this. That just elevated the stats for Reed to 6 completions for 57 yards, and that was his longest right there at 29.
Yeah, and that was the first completion of the second half for Davis, who works out of the one-back set. Lots of time. And another
Nicely
completion.
done. Pass complete to number 11.
Foster.
Michael Foster.
So again, we've mentioned it throughout the whole game.
Ball is spotted now inside the red zone at the 13, make it 14-yard line. That's a gain of 18 on the completion.
Elijah Rooney and Tyra Davis, who has completed the last 2 passes, completing to become the permanent starter. Davis is going to go back to the air.
Oh, just a bit overthrown.
Out of the reach of Reed. Showed a nice touch, though, but those 2 pass completions might just certainly will help Davis.
Pass intended for Christopher Reed is overthrown and falls incomplete. That brings up 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs, with $1:35 remaining in the game.
So it certainly would not be likely, but trailing 20-6 with 1:35 left, I certainly would not discount Wekiva still being able to win this game. If they can get that ball in the end zone within the next play or two, you'd still have about 1:15 left, and then, of course, you'd have to get the onside kickoff.
And again, I know that this is not a championship game. This is not the kind of game where you necessarily want to take huge chances, risk somebody getting injured, etc.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you want to end on a high note, regardless of whether it goes as a W or not.
And that was Davis bulldozing ahead behind the left side. 1:20 remaining. And again,
Davis hands off to Hakeem Lowe, and that will be approximately no gain on the play, and it brings up 3rd and 10 for the Mustangs from the Viking 14-yard line.
But being able to move this team from the 30 to 25-yard line down into the red zone or close to the red zone certainly will be on Schwartz's mind as far as who he goes with as the permanent starter, Davis or Rooney. Now Davis out of the one-back set. He's going to drop back, scan the field, and incomplete.
Pass intended for
Foster.
Jeremiah Marceline is broken up by the Vikings secondary.
So 47 seconds remaining, and now I would probably say it's just a matter of if they can get the ball into the end zone and cut that lead down, and as you said, Mark, at least end this game on a high note, build some momentum as we head into the regular season. 20-6 is the score. Miami Norland has scored 20 consecutive points.
Strike that was Foster, the intended receiver.
Out of empty the backfield.
Oh, and there's the flag.
Incomplete, but as Mark just said, Davis did draw the flag.
Pass intended for number 2,
And so the good
Christopher Reed.
Good news for Wekiva is only 8 seconds came off the clock.
Flag on the play. Pass interference called against the Viking defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, or in this case, half the distance to the goal.
And we're going to get a timeout on the field as well. 39 seconds remaining. Miami Norland holding a 20-6 lead.
Timeout, Mustangs.
And this is the 2021 Preseason Kickoff Classic from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. Right next to State Route 429 on the southeast side of Apopka. And so while we got a timeout, I did want to continue to talk a little bit more about Coach Schwartz. We gave you his resume. He's worked at 6 different assistant coaching positions, including Durham University in England, 155 miles north of Scotland. But he is a man who came in here with a vision, not necessarily a vision of shaking things up, but a vision in terms of what Wekiva needs to do the underlying things that Wekiva needs to do if they are going to continue to get into the playoffs 6 out of the last 7 years. You can see his picture. He certainly looks like a man who is very detail-oriented, and I can agree with that now knowing him for 9 months. And I think that's going to bode well for Wekiva as they have a very young and inexperienced squad. I think both coach and players will grow together. As Davis takes the snap, rolls right, and just gets rid of that ball. So now it will be, actually that's Miami Norland's possession. Now that was 4th down.
I believe it was an automatic, well, it should have been an automatic first down because of the pass interference penalty.
Yeah, that's right, excuse me. It's 1st down, and now looking over to the far sideline, and the refs were telling the
pass intended for Christopher Reed falls incomplete. That brings up 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line.
So 33 seconds remaining, and as Marcus said, right now Wekiva wants to get that ball into the end zone. You want to end the game on a high note, not only just a high note in terms of making a couple of big plays, but being able to turn a couple of big plays into tangible points.
And you know what, Neil? I believe I stand corrected. A correction, that was not 1st down, that was 4th down, because in high school the pass interference penalty does not carry an automatic 1st down with it, and so that turns the ball over on downs to the Vikings.
Okay, well, please remember...
I was using NFL rules there. I got myself mixed up.
Yeah, please remember, as I think that's going to be the final snap. It's also a preseason game for Mark and I. We have not called any football games in over a year, or almost a year. But that will do it. The last 20 seconds are going to tick off. Wekiva took a 6-0 lead midway through the 2nd quarter. James Brown scoring on a 2-yard plunge, capping off a 65-yard, 12-play drive. Miami Norland answered with 20 straight points. The clock hit 0, and that does it for the 2021 Preseason Kickoff Classic from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, home of the Wekiva Mustangs. So thank you for joining us tonight. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi with the call, along with the broadcast production department headed up by Keith Dickinson here at with the Wekiva Mustangs here at Wekiva High School. Unfortunately, we cannot report that Wekiva kicked off the 2021 season with a victory, but as Mark and I talked about, a number of questions, a team that's very young and inexperienced, quite a bit of football playing experience, but only about 25% of the team have played at the high school varsity level. Only 2 starters returning from last season. And we did talk quite a bit in the last 2-3 minutes about Coach Schwartz. This was his debut as a head coach. So also a very young staff, a lot of learning, a curve. And I think we got some answers. We still have some more to answer, though. And as Mark has said throughout the game, the good news is this does not count on the record, and I think Wekiva got what it needed in terms of moving forward and being able to progress with each and every game as the season moves along.
All right, once again, we want to thank our friends at Wekiva Broadcast Production. You can see their names here. We had several of those students here with us tonight running cameras, directing our broadcast, and bringing you the quality production that is so rarely seen at the high school level. So, again, we want to very much thank our broadcast production teacher, Mr. Keith Dickerson, and his entire crew. Once again, my thanks to Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief joining me for tonight's broadcast. My name is Mark Barchi, executive producer of Wekiva Sports, sports information director, and the voice of the Mustangs. This has been a presentation of Wekiva High School in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. Good night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.